Hello everybody, this is Jen from Scrapping Posh and I am here with the part 3 tutorial. It is a tiny bit shorter than part 1 and 2. So what I got going on here is I'm just putting those windows in the same way that you've seen me do in part 2. So basically in order to get those windows in, you put them in and then you glue them on the top and bottom. Okay, and here I just have the bay window, which I've already taped together, and then I used washi tape from the inside and then I glued it on the outside, and now I'm just covering the washi tape with some black permanent marker so that when you open the door from the inside you can't see it. Now I am short a window again, so I am tracing this window out and just cutting it on black cardstock. And this is the same thing you would do if you were to follow the template without the cameo silhouette. And keep in mind that when you do the windows, if you do the window frames, you don't have to cut the individual panes for the window. You just cut one big shape out of the center. Now I'm scoring the bend lines with the back of my X-Acto knife there, and then I just cut the window out. And then I have a window frame sitting off to the side, and I'm just going to glue that around the outside. So be sure if you do it this way that you cut the inside dimension and not the outside of the window, or when you put. So now I'm going to glue on the bay window, and the bay window is going to touch the left and right hand sides because those two sides are gusseted, but it won't make contact with the upper or lower part of the house. So I went ahead and added glue to it, and then I put it on, and then I add glue to the outside also. And it does make kind of a shine and a little bit of glue buildup in the house, but again, since it was a haunted house, I didn't really mind that much. And the other thing we're going to do is just keep building up the top and bottom layers of glue until they meet, so that that is secure on there. And you waited this long to do that part because that's just made of cardstock, so it's not going to be as stable as the rest of your mansion. And the same with the steps. When you add the steps, those are just cardstock and they're just held on with glue, so you can gusset these parts, but I didn't find it necessary. And it's a little harder to gusset because you have to do it from the inside. Now I'm just layering on the rest of the window frames, which is extremely simple. And I had to put it up so I could actually see what I was doing. And I'm putting the window frames. Oh, I am adding. I think I'm adding the roofs. Yeah, I'm adding the little roofs to the window boxes at this point, I think. Or I'm just adding more window boxes. Okay, so here I am adding the roof. Basically, I cut a... Oh no, I'm sorry. This is me cutting the shingles on for the roof. Basically, I take a 1/2-inch strip of black cardstock and I cut little grooves in it, about 1/4 inch to the way up, and they're about a 1/4 inch square. And then you just ruffle the edges. And then when you glue it down, I'm trying to get it in focus, sorry guys. When you glue down those shingles, there you go. You just glue down the flat part. You do not glue down the part that you ruffled out. So you see me here, I'm starting at the turret. You stick it on the bottom. So I needed a little bit more glue on that because I didn't run the full length of the house. So again, just add it to the flat part of the strip and then cut off the excess. And then I like to fray the edges up a little bit. And then when you glue the next part on, you just put the glue on the flat part again. And the ruffled part is going to hang over the flat part of the previous strip. And I do that to the entire roof. I'm not going to make you watch that whole entire process, but when I'm working around the windows, you just put it on either side of the window and then cut a strip off. The only time that it got just a little more difficult was behind the roof panels and or around the roof panels. Some of the roof panels I don't have glued onto the actual roof. They kind of set off of the roof and they're glued onto the window box. And when that was the case, I actually ran the shingles behind the roof panels. But for this case, I just kind of measured it and cut the angle of the roof of that window box. Yeah, so now that I pretty much got figured out, I'm going to do this side for you. The house is so big, it was kind of hard to get it in frame, so you see I have the struggle of me trying to get it where you guys can see it. But essentially the whole thing is the same. And then all the washi tape that we had on there from trying to get those corners together gets covered up with the black roof shingles, or sorry, black shingles. And then if you see any poking through the black shingles, you can always just use black permanent marker to cover it up. Okay. And that's pretty much one side of the turret roof done. And like I said, I just do that to all the sides of the entire roof. Oh, and this is where I was thinking, because I put that roof on there and I thought that the windows kind of blended in. I wish I would have put the siding on those window boxes before I put them on. I think it would have really brought it out, but it would be nearly impossible to do it at this point with the window frames in there and everything. So now I'm putting the frames around the windows, and since my cuts weren't perfect on the chipboard and my I guess my siding went kind of into some of the windows, I used black permanent marker around the window frames so that the shingles don't show through. I couldn't find another window box. I lost a total of 2 or 3 of them, I think, before I started this project. So I just cut another one out. And here I'm using the back of my X-Acto knife to score, so it's easier to bend it or fold it, and so that I know I have the fold in the right place. And I'm going to give you another close-up of how I put the window boxes in. So there's the square on the roof and the window box. And I just lined the whole box with glue. And I set the window inside. And then I go around the outside with the glue again. Now the shingles are going to cover up most of that glue, so don't be too horribly concerned about it. Again, you just line it up and you put each side in the roof. And then I put some more glue on it just to secure it, and I let it dry completely at that point. And here's a close-up of the shingles and how I did that. And like I said, you just put the glue along the flat side. And then when you get to the back and the bigger part of the roof, it's a little easier than doing that turret. Just because they're longer strips. Well, except for in between the windows, which is kind of tedious, but not too bad. So then I had the idea that I'm just going to fill the panel, the small panel there, with glue. And since they're such small pieces, I just pieced them all on there. I let it dry just a little bit, and then I went back and cut it with a pair of scissors. And the same between the windows. It's such a small space that once I got the measurement, I just cut I cut the same amount of strips that I had on the other side. I think there's only like a ½ inch between those windows, maybe 3/4 of an inch. So I just put them in there and kind of placed them with my X-Acto knife. And I just do the same thing all the way around the roof with every single window. I would turn on some music for you guys now and just kind of let you guys watch the process, just to so you can see, you know, more of the aspect of it. But apparently the music I've been using, even though I got it from a copy-free website, is not copyright-free. So just beware if you use music in your videos and you get it from one of the websites that, you know, there's nothing saying that. I don't know how they do it. Once you get it on your video, or once it gets so many downloads or something, they sell the copyright to it, or maybe somebody takes it and copyrights it from there. But YouTube, I mean, I'm not monetized or anything right now, so they can't demonetize my videos, but they did enable the person who apparently carries the copyright to put ads on my videos, and I don't even know what it is, so I don't know. If you see an ad, it's not my fault. So all in all, this is a pretty long process to get the roof shingles on there. So like I said, it's not hard, it's just kind of tedious and maybe a bit boring. I bet it's even more boring to watch. Well, actually I'm watching it, so yeah, it's pretty boring. Anyways, you guys can watch this while you're making something. I think I just do the back roof panel. I don't make you watch all of them. I got a new camera. It's a point and click camera. It's a Canon something or other. But it really, it gets really hot and it dies after about 20 minutes because it overheats. So now I'm putting the last strip along the top on. And those are either 11 or 12-inch strips. And I'm tucking them right behind the roofs of those windows. And oh, I'm doing the the side of the turret now. I'm sorry about the angle on this, you guys. It was really hard to find an angle that was easy for you guys to see, just because it was so big. My little stand that I have that my camera goes on, I think it's like 20 or 24 inches off the ground, so there wasn't much clearance. I haven't, those little houses have roofs on them, and I didn't show you guys how to do the roofs. I just took I think it was a 3/4 inch strip of paper, and I cut it to 2 inches and scored it halfway down, and that was the roof for those little window boxes. So if you're doing this and you're like, how in the world did she do the window box? That's how. It's the roof's just a strip of paper scored in half. It's about 2 inches. I may have made them in the back. I think they may be a little shorter because they're so close together. They don't have enough room, or that as much room for an overhang. Alright, I think I'm going to speed you up a little bit more. Okay, so we are continuing the roof saga now, and I do like that I put this footage in here. Now I sped my video up another 4 times, so this is pretty fast in the scheme of things, but I really like the angle of the shot here, so you can see more of the roof and how it's being done. So I think the easiest way is to add the glue to the roof, and you see how I tucked it behind the windows there. Okay, so now we're going to add some of the window frames, and then I decided that a bay window and the top of the roof needed something, especially the turret in the middle there. From the top of the turret to the actual house, it's kind of crooked. So I took the scallop punch out, and I'm just cutting a lot of scallop strips at about a 1/2 inch. And you'll have to excuse if you hear some panting in the background. My dogs are panting. They're hanging out with me. So the other thing I decided to do is, much like I wanted to do, or the foresight, or lack of foresight, of the window boxes, I think they would have looked really good with the siding on it, but I decided, regardless of how much of a pain it was, that I was going to put the siding on this bay window. And then I take that scallop border, and you see me put it all along the entire roof edge. And I think that that gives it a really nice, like, Victorian, I don't know, Victorian look. And then instead of trying to cut the sides of that bay window, I just cover it up with another piece of black cardstock. Okay, and now here we are. Okay, what did I just do? Sorry, you guys. Oh, I'm putting the windows, or the roofs on the back windows. Okay, so I did save some of that. So, and now I'm going to start with assembling the doors and the steps. So the steps are fairly easy. Slow you back down again a little bit. Basically, the steps are just that. They're 1/2 inch each, and then they're just folded, and then you take that one piece that looks like a little L on either side of them. Okay. And then here I'm assembling the doors. And you just take the border, you put it on the outside of the door, and then you put those little squares on the inside, and it gives it like a, I don't know what they call it, a molded look. And then we take hinges and put them on the back of either side of the door, so that when you open them, they open like real doors. I may have put these doors on before I put the siding on, if I would have thought about it. And then I could have hinged them from the outside instead of the inside of the house. So that's a possibility. And then when I put the frame on, that one fell off. And then I double framed this door so that it had a little bit more, I don't know, volume, I guess. And then in order to put the stairs on, I just put glue on the back side of the staircase, and then I pushed it right up against the bottom of the door. Okay, so then you obviously have to let that dry complete before you move it. And the other thing I did was I propped it up on a couple of pieces of cardstock to shim it so that it was right underneath the door, and so that the top and bottom hit the house with the glue on it so it would stick. So now I'm working on the porch side of the house, and I just did the same exact thing with those two doors. I'm going to put the doors on and then put the door frame, or I'm going to put the door frames on first this time and then put the doors on. And because of the shingles in the house, it's kind of bumpy, so I tried to find something to weigh down that door frame while it was drying. And then the top, of course, doesn't have a door frame because the top porch is smaller, lower than the bottom, so it doesn't have room for that. And the reason why it's lower is because if not, it would interfere with the roof. A little bit of cleanup here, sorry. So here are the porch pieces, and didn't cut perfectly out on the silhouette. And I'm just folding along the, if you cut it out on the silhouette, it's has perforation. It's scored. Well, it's perforated where you have to bend it, but it's still such a small area that it's kind of hard to do. And you just bend the sides up and you just glue them to these, you know, the little rectangles that go along with it. And it is that simple to do the porch. And if you're cutting this by hand and you don't want to do all the fancy stuff on it, you absolutely don't have to. And you can also change it up a little bit by using your dies or punches. Okay, and then there's the top and bottom porch. And before I put those on, I need to make sure that everything on the other side is ready to go, because I will not be able to put any pressure on that side because that porch is just made out of cardstock. And I have a set of stairs to go on this side. So, but the stairs I can put on while it's standing up. Actually, you kind of have to put it on while it's standing upright. So, sorry I'm a little bit out of frame on this, you guys. Again, it's just kind of hard to get in frame sometimes. Here's the second set of stairs. Again, you just fold along the score lines, and you put these little L-shaped pieces in there to make your stairs. And then the door frames again for the other side of the house. Put the frame on and then glue these little rectangles in the middle, and it makes it look molded. And then a hinge. And I use a smaller hinge. That's probably a 1/2 inch hinge scored at 1/4 inch. Okay, and now I started on the roof, or I'm sorry, the chimney. So all the chimney pieces are there, and I wanted to put a little bit of pattern paper on the chimney. So this piece folds together, and then these smaller pieces go in the rectangle part. And I actually made 2 chimneys, but one for each side, but I only ended up putting one on because I think the other one, I don't know if I just didn't want to or if the other one interfered with it. So you just kind of piece it together. So you can see here for the second one how to do it. And I just mat the centers of all the sides here. So and then you put them together. So once you got something that somewhat looks like a chimney, you just glue it on just like you did the other pieces. Now, in order to simplify the very top, because these pieces aren't hinged at all, I just used some washi tape to put it together. And you don't necessarily have to cut like all holes in the center of those little rectangular pieces. I just found that when I did it, I was thinking, you know, like realistic or realism, but I don't think it would make any difference at all. It surely wouldn't make any difference except with any of them except for the very top piece. So, and I guess if I was making this again, I would probably put little tabs on those so that they were easier to fold together, because that was kind of a not a fun thing. So I'll just finish putting on the window frames and the door frames and the steps on the left-hand side of the house. And you have to let those steps dry. And I do the same thing with the chimney that I've done with everything else. I just glue on the outside and stick it on there. And glue all the way around just to reinforce it. That's a good shot of the back of the house. And I'm putting on the window frames. So this isn't too horribly exciting, but I think this is probably the last thing I do in this video. So there's just one more video left, you guys. So I hope you are following along okay. If there's anything that you guys need me to clarify, let me know. I can try and film like a spacer video or a slower video of individual techniques that we used. Other than that, I thank you guys all for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Stay tuned for the final part, and I thank you for watching.